filibuster that is currently happening across the Alliance of Sahel states. And this particular news is making the headline. The International Criminal Court has officially responded to the Alliance of Sahel states. They are responding to the withdrawal of the AES state. Now, the International Criminal Court did not speak about the framing when it comes to the context or the premise as to why the AES state is going to be leaving the International Criminal Court. They gave a sort of summary, and a lot of people are saying that the statement shows weakness. A lot of people say the ICC is urging the Alliance of Sahel State to come back to the Rome Statutes. A lot of people are saying that the ICC is concerned over the position of international law after the AES has just left. Now, we know that this particular notification is going to be is going to be legit from next year, 2027. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's go into the statement of the ICC. According to the information we have, the International Criminal Court's executive body noted that the move of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger undermines the global pursuit of justice, and it weakens collective effort to end impunity. You see, when you look at framing, sometimes we have to ask ourselves a very, very beautiful question. What is the meaning of that framing? Listen once again, because context matters. The International Criminal Court's executive body, which is comprising of leadership from Sierra Leone, leadership from Poland, and leadership across board from different parts of the continent of the world, representing 125 countries. Now, the International Criminal Court executive body said, and I repeat, that the move of the AES undermines the global pursuit of justice. Let me stop right there, pause. If I have to say, if you, as the International Criminal Court, want to say that the move of the AES undermines global pursuit of justice, and the criminal cases that have been in the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court only revolves around the African sphere, ladies and gentlemen, is that even fair? If you look at most of the direct crime that is being committed all around the world right now, direct crime, there are some type of crime that are indirect. We're talking about direct crime. Like land grabbing. Do you get what I'm saying? Like land grabbing, warmongering, like a lot of crime to humanity. Natural disaster weaponization. I know a lot of people have not gotten to that level. Do you know that certain people or certain powers can trigger natural disaster against certain people to take advantage of those people geopolitically? We will get there some days. That analysis is very, very important, and we'll soon get there. But I will say that the ICC has truly not shown enough credibility to appeal to the Alliance of Sahel States to return to the Rome Statute. Because the argument that was made by the Alliance of Sahel was that the Rome Statute was a geopolitical neo-colonial tool that certain imperial power used to submerge African states. I know that some African leaders are happy to remain with the Rome Statutes, but when you look at the way the AES countries are moving, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest with you, a lot of people set in time to look at Burkina Faso as if Burkina Faso is kind of very, very ruthless. I was listening to a video this evening And I was listening to the comments from the Malians and the Nigerians. You know, after Burkina Faso said they are now breaking all diplomatic ties with France, some Nigerians and some Malians were saying, I'm not talking about ordinary people, I'm talking about some of the scholars in these countries. They were saying that why is it that Burkina Faso is still having any sort of diplomatic relation with France up until now? So that simply means that Niger and Mali has broken all diplomatic ties with France for a very long period of time, if I should go by way of what was said in that interview. So for those people that used to say Burkina Faso is ruthless and all of that, I think Burkina Faso is even still fair as a state. Very, very fair. I think Niger, they are they have zero tolerance. They have 100% zero tolerance. So, ladies and gentlemen, according to the statement that was given by the ICC, in its former statement, the ICC Assembly of States of Parties emphasized the withdrawal from the Rome Statute do not release exiting nation from previous legal obligation. According to the statement that they gave, they said Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger still has cases with the ICC. They said, but for Burkina Faso and Niger, they don't really have a huge human war crime case with the ICC. But they said Mali has some existential case since 2013 that they need to answer to. Guess what? Assimi Goïta was not the president of Mali in 2013. So I don't know who they want to prosecute. And by the time, maybe when they come out with the resolution, whichever resolution they want to have in the ICC, by the time they come out with that resolution, at that time, the Alliance of Sahel States will no longer be a part of the ICC. The billion-dollar question at that time is, will they be able to tell Assimi Goïta, who is a sovereign leader, who is pro-Pan-African, to release a citizen of Mali? Because if you look at how the ICC works, they don't have a military enforcing, squads. They don't have a military component. The ICC is just a body. Nobody enforces the law. They speak, so what happens? The ICC said -- against Benjamin Netanyahu. And what happened to the ICC? The bank account of the president at that time was frozen. He was debanked at a point. Everything that made him viable as a human being was stripped. So when you talk about the ICC and all that, it means nothing. In Cote d'Ivoire, they picked Laurent Gbagbo, but it was the Ivorian government that released Laurent Gbagbo to the ICC. The ICC is not this behemoth that everybody wants them to look like. So, according to the information, the ICC urged Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to remain committed to international justice. They said they should remain committed to the international justice standards, warning that the departure could severely impede accountability for war crimes within the region. Now, you see, I'm going to say this. I've been saying it before on this platform that international justice has a color and that color is not black. So this whole conversation around urging them to remain, it means nothing. You see, now I have a cautionary tale here. I kind of feel like some African leaders might be trying that really needs this international criminal justice, right? There are some African leaders that needs to be probed. Nobody can tell me that somebody like Ruto of Kenya should not answer to war crimes in Kenya. There is no war in Kenya, but what Ruto is doing in that country is war crime. There's so much allegation. But have you ever heard that any international organization called the president of Kenya to come and answer for anything? Because, they're sipping tea, they're eating shops, they're breaking bread, they are doing almost everything together. Almost everything. Nobody's going to call Ruto. Because the last time I checked, Ruto sat on the chair of Joe Biden. Ruto is the friend of the people that constructed this so-called imperial construct. So who is going to speak to Ruto? Who is going to speak to Paul Kagame? Who is going to call Paul Kagame to order? Who is going to speak to Dagalo? I'm talking about Emeti in Sudan. Who is going to speak to Emeti? Who is going to talk to the United Arab Emirates? Who is going to bring the United Arab Emirates to justice for their direct participation in the war crime in Sudan? Who is going to bring them to is going to call them to justice? Who is going to call the United States to the International Criminal Court for the war, for the fake war with fake narrative in Iraq? They were looking for weapon of mass destruction. But according to the information that came out after, they were there for gold. So who is going to bring them to justice? Who is going to bring Israel to justice for the crime in Palestine? Let's not be hypocritical right now. Let's be honest with ourselves. You are urging Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to come back to the ICC so that they can uphold international justice. You know what I feel? I feel like they want people to join the organization so they can feel bloated enough to look like some sensible organization. All right? They are deciding to leave because the proof is in the pudding. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger did not come up with all this evidence. These are geopolitical events that have been happening from time to time. And, looking at all the contextualized statistics, they have been able to realize that international justice has a color, and the color is not black. Equatorial Guinea just took France. To an international court of justice. And who won the case? Even if the money belonged to Equatorial Guinea, the case was ruled in favor of France. Again, I repeat, International Criminal Court has a color. That color is not black. But, why is it that the countries whose case fill the entire table of the ICC are African states? Even if international justice knows nothing related to black people. You see, it's the hypocrisy, ladies and gentlemen. It's the hypocrisy. If you want to talk about international justice, then you talk about Ouattara of Ivory Coast. How he won the last election. It was brutal, ladies and gentlemen. At the time, we posted a lot of videos on our Telegram. But because he was under the whims and caprices of France, he was under their coffers, they covered him up. And nobody spoke about it. Do you know how many Ivorians died in the last election? Because you see, there is a way everybody see Ivorians. As like when you mention Ivory Coast, everybody think, oh, no. Ivorians are good people. But most of them that has a voice, they have been either somehow on alive, disappeared, beaten, battered. Like, who is going to speak for those people? Who is going to guard the gods? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're talking about. before you call on the international, before the International Criminal Court tells Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger to do something, show something. Don't tell them to do something. Show something. Now, it didn't stop at that, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the case is now becoming a sort of topsy-turvy, because immediately the AES made a decision that they were going to leave before the International Criminal Court responded to this whole statement. Another organization has now thrown her weight into the whole contest. And ladies and gentlemen, this particular organization is coming with a lot of allegation of war crime. And this organization is saying that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger cannot escape. That's what they're saying. That they cannot escape international justice. According to the information, the ICC was not the only voice that responded this week. On July 2nd, Amnesty International released its own statement. And ladies and gentlemen, it was far less diplomatic. The statement from the ICC was diplomatic, but the statement from Amnesty International, it was bare knuckle to bare knuckle. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Marcel Civido, Amnesty International's regional director for West Africa and Central Africa, he did not hold back. So let me read what he said. Now, he said something, and I quote, he said, "This decision by the government of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger threatens to deny thousands of victims." Again, I quote. He said, "This decision by the government of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to leave the International Criminal Court of Justice threatens to deny thousands of victims the possibility of truth, justice, and reparation." Who is he talking about? Who is going to pay for the reparation for the stolen artifacts? Who is going to pay for the reparation of the nuclear bombs that was dropped in Algeria by France? Who is going to pay for the reparation? Like, we're just on reparation, right? For the gold that France stole since the 1930s from the Sahel. Who is going to pay for reparation for slavery? A diabolic war crime that we are still living with till this day. Who is going to pay? These people talk about reparation, but this is just some of the few. For the stolen uranium, now, that is not the right context. You see, when you talk about stolen uranium, it doesn't make any sense. It is the way they dispose the contaminant from the radioactive material that poisoned the Nigerian soil to the point where the waterbed became a crime on its own. Families, thank you so much for joining from London. Thank you so much, wherever you're joining us from. See, when you say France took uranium from Niger, it wasn't about taking uranium. It's about what you did with the radioactive contaminant. A woman said, and I quote, that her husband fell sick. Her husband used to work at the Alit mine, where Orano, a French, what they used to call a French nuclear giant, where Orano mined most of France's uranium. In fact, before we get to the Alit mine, France completely finished the uranium in a particular, I can't remember the name of that mine. They used up every uranium in that particular geolocation in Niger. Then they moved to Alit. Now, Niger still has a lot more places. You know, he even has some fields where they said, we are not going to mine the resources here. We're just going to leave it for our next generation. Family, do you dig? Please stay with me because we are getting somewhere. All right? Now, they mined the uranium. The woman said her husband worked in that mine for more than 28 years. Stay with me. You work in a mine for more than 28 years. You were buying spag, pasta. I'm talking about a single pasta. A pasta. The man was buying that pasta on loan. On loan. A bricklayer in Nigeria cannot buy a pasta on loan. It's not possible. The suffering has not gotten to that level. Now, according to the woman, now there were so many people. The Nigerians people can confirm what I'm saying right now. The Nigerians watching, and even if this video gets to them, they can confirm what I'm saying. The woman said her husband passed away. And from forensic analysis, they came up with a resolution that the husband died from the radioactive materials. Do you know how you do that? When you go into the molecular biology analysis, you are going to find out what has happened to the DNA of that person. You are going to find out the various mutations that must have happened. Sometimes at the tissue level, there are some organs in the body so delicate that when you get exposed enough to some radioactive emission, there are going to be some sort of anatomical change. Because there is a way that structure is supposed to look like to perform a specific function. But when you start having some sort of mutation, then you know that something is going on. They said the water they drank in that region was contaminated. The cutleries were contaminated. I don't live in Niger. These are proven facts. So if the Amnesty International, an organization that came from God knows where, can talk about justice, we are giving you. Now we are presenting cases to you. Can we get justice? They talked about reparation. Who is going to pay the reparation for those lives? Who? Me? Now, who is going to pay the reparation for? You see, when France dropped that bomb on the people that were having wedding ceremony in Mali in 2018, man, I've been able to learn so much history about this religion that seriously I'm not really myself anymore. You know, when they dropped that bomb, who brought them before the International Criminal Court of Justice? Because those organizations cannot even confront them. So why stay there if they cannot perform the simple and common duty that they were supposed to discharge in the first place? Why keep a gun at home if it's always going to jam? Why keep it? If it's always going to jam when you need it the most. So Burkina Faso is saying, no more. The hunter is not going to tell the story of the lion. It's our time. The lion will rise. It will not only rise, the lion will roar. It will not only roar, the lion will now script the story. Not just on some paper, on the sound of time. Because you see, from 2022 up until now, the history, you see, this moment in the history of the Sahel will never be forgotten. Sadio Kamara will never be forgotten. The heroes that participated in this dramatic change in the history of the Sahel will never be forgotten. So, a different time, a different sun is rising in the Sahel as we speak. And ladies and gentlemen, for as much as those, as many that want to see the light of this new rising sun, the time to decide is now. Imagine if 7 more states in Africa decides tomorrow and say, we are leaving the ICC. In honesty, who will hold them? Who will hit them? So, ladies and gentlemen, the Amnesty International said, by leaving the ICC, all right, you are telling armed groups and state actors. Listen again. Amnesty International is claiming now. Listen and listen good. Amnesty International is saying that by leaving the ICC, you are telling armed groups and state actors alike that there is no international court that will hold them accountable. They are claiming that this move by the Sahel state to leave, they said it's the Sahel state removing the one external check on crimes against civilians. Families, I want to ask you a question. There is a terrorist in Mali called they call him Mukhtar Belmokhtar. I challenge anybody to tell me something otherwise about this theory I'm going to give. His name is Mukhtar Belmokhtar. And families, this guy was neutralized in Mali. He wasn't neutralized by foreign military. No, it was neutralized by Malian forces. We have seen guys that fought in Mosul, in Iraq, that have good experience. I'm talking about veteran class experience on what you call controlled demolition. They were neutralized by Malian forces in Mali. There is a terrorist leader. Even looking at his face, he looks monstrous. They call him Al-Anabi. Look at the name, Al-Anabi. If you look at that man's face, the first time I saw his face, I was like, damn, this face is not normal. These are people whose face alone can tell you everything you need to know about them. Neutralized in Mali. The latest communique about terrorist leaders having a meeting in Mali, they were neutralized by Malian forces, tracked with Malian intelligence, monitored with Malian reconnaissance. Where is the International Criminal Court? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the context, if you look at the premise from the Amnesty International, it makes no common sense. Look, you see, we are not, I'm very, very practical on this platform. We are not talking about people that will come and make noise. We are beyond noise making at this point. Africa has been crying for how many centuries? Africa has been crying. For how many decades? Who came to our rescue? The Sahel is saying, Orisha bo legbemi, jendro láyé tèmi. Do you know what that means? If the oracle cannot stand with me, stay on your own, let me stay on my own. That is what the AES is saying. The AES is not begging for aid. Have they begged for aid from anybody? Even the blind can feel the voltage of the AES as we speak. You see, when Benin people tell you that, can you feel the voltage? We are having a different conversation entirely. The AES is saying, don't worry, don't defend us, because we know you cannot even defend yourself. We will defend ourselves. Listen and listen good again. You see all this local organization from God knows where. I'm going to say again. When Mali was attacked on the April 25, what did Amnesty International say about the attack? I want somebody, if you know you are representing some certain group here that you're watching it, go and find me the real-time comments of the Amnesty International between 25th of April to 30th of April. They didn't say nothing. Most of this organization glorify the terrorist attack. This is no Mongo Park era. This is not the era where, the goat was the goat is no longer a wild animal. The goat is now a domestic animal. Families. Not that era where somebody will come and show us one movie and show, oh, the defenders of the world are here. And when they come, see, Africa has developed. Congratulations to everybody. I have to say this. Congratulations to you all. Africa has developed completely. Now I hear my Nigerian patriots, my compatriots in Nigeria here. When a certain narrative come out from certain media, they'll be like, oh, no, don't tell us that. Nigeria of all country, the headquarter of all neo-colonial campaign. So people are beginning to wake up and understand what a propaganda looks like. I used to think we were so brainwashed. Africa has developed. You know where we are now? Africa, I believe at this point, Africa has woken up. Turning theory to direct practical. That is the next phase. Turning theory. It's already happening in Burkina Faso. But you see, it will be unstoppable when it gets to that point where it now goes viral. Where you are no longer defined by your complexion, by the amount of money you have in your bank account, but by the content of your character and by the mental exploits that you have that can be a game changer for your country and your people. If you look at the way Captain Ibrahim Traore moved, Captain Ibrahim Traore, before he went to study geology, he studied geology because of the Burkinabe people. See, honestly, I have to be open at this point. People used to say I'm intelligent, but I am not close to someone like Captain Ibrahim Traore. I'm not close. And I'm not as brutal, professional, disciplined, and honest as this type of leaders we are talking about. Captain Ibrahim Traore, to me, you can't be human to move like that. Before he joined the Association of Geologists, he already knew, like, okay, he went to school to answer a question that was affecting the people of Burkina Faso. They said they had gold, but it was all mystery. So he had this thing in his mind. Okay, let me go to school and study this particular course. From geology to military. Because he had a dream. He had a dream to liberate his people. I went to an open source highly packaged intelligence data processing app one day, and I typed, who is the best military personnel to come out from Burkina Faso? Ladies and gentlemen, you know the name I was expecting. I was expecting Watao or something else. Ladies and gentlemen, guess who this? Guess who came out? Captain Ibrahim Traore. It was not because of maybe academic. No. I'm talking about pure military performance. Like its achievements, the scalps he has won. When I was reading his history, I heard that this guy, literally led some of the most brutal reconquest of the territory of Burkina Faso. You see, when he speaks, you can feel it in him. That voltage is too high. He went to, I showed you the video some days ago, right? Captain Ibrahim Traore said, I don't call them terrorists. He said, I call them local thugs trying to disturb your peace. Look, that man is different. I give him his props. I give him his props. These leaders have changed our mentality in Africa. We are not looking forward to meeting some celebrities from God knows where. I'm telling you as I am right now. If you ask me that who are the 3 people I want to meet in my life right now, is these 3 leaders of the Sahel. Say no more. And probably Vladimir Putin of Russia. I won't lie to you. These guys are just on a whole different level. These are the people I would like to meet as a person. And I will literally lose my mind when I meet them. Because like, no. These guys are just, they've achieved the unthinkable. So, the organization called Amnesty International is back with the shenanigans. You see, and looking at the whole allegation they brought up, I think the proof is in the answer is already right in front of them. They don't have the credibility to request anything from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. I repeat, they don't have the credibility. They don't have the Odom Messiah to call anybody from Africa here and tell us to come and answer any question. They don't have the authority. They don't have the power to enforce. They don't have the premise to back up any enforcement. Before you do that, we are not even talking about colonial era now. Oh, shit. These guys, they indirectly participated in war crime. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that part of the crime of Damiba that is currently behind bars in Burkina Faso, are you aware that part of the crime they are suing Damiba for right now is the fact that he has a contribution in the pine of Burkinabe citizens? I said there was a time they neutralized 300 Burkinabe in a day. Damiba told them, like, move on. It did happen. A time will come, we will all know the secret of all this. We will all get to the secret. So, a lot of people are saying that now there is only one premise. I can actually say that, okay, they have said that actually makes sense. They said some African leaders might want to take advantage of this. Now, I'm with them when it comes to this point, that some African leaders that needs to really, really face this justice might want to take advantage. Look at the Equatorial Guinea leader that immediately said he was going to break diplomatic mission with France. You are in the same pot together. Now you are talking about you want to break diplomatic mission. It was because he saw the example from Burkina Faso. And maybe he had the opportunity to listen to some shrewd analysts. I gave him the calculus of how this is going to affect France economically, geopolitically. I'm telling you, to affect France from every perspective. When it comes to the influence that France wields across any continent on the planet to affect them. If nations in Africa can start telling you to get out. See, a lot of people said Burkina Faso did not kick out France. What will you call this? Let's forget about what happened when they told their military to leave. What is this? Because I know some people argued with me. Oh, France wasn't kicked out. I know you love your country. You were not kicked out. What do you want to call this? Giving your diplomat ultimatum. These people always come with the narrative that Africa is so poor. We need to help them. We need to send aid to them. Can you imagine all this type of narrative? We need to send aid to them. As if all of us are carrying brick. We are carrying pong here. You need to send aid. Let me show you a video. Oh God, I'm using the same. Okay, I posted. Let me show you something, families. Hold on a second. I need to show you this. Don't miss it. Stay with me. Because we will soon close the show. But I want you to see this before we close the show. Just to address that point of we need to give Africans aid. They need aid. They are suffering, right? I want to tell you what their aid means. A lot of people on our Telegram channel have seen this picture, but I want to show you once more. All right? For the people that are not on our Telegram channel so that they can have access to this type of information. Now, this is a picture from Elon Musk. If you're on Twitter, you probably have seen this, but it's very, very important you all see it once more. This is a picture from Elon Musk. Ladies and gentlemen, can you see what you are seeing here? You see right here? That's USAID. You see right here? That's USAID. This is Elon Musk right here. USAID logo. This is a terrorist. This is a terrorist holding RPG. This is another terrorist here. So we have to ask a question. We have to ask a very, very important question. So when they say that the AES leaders breaking away from all this international construct called organization and all of that, that they are stopping aid from getting to the people, we need to ask a question. So that aid that you have been sending, where is the aid going? This is not the first place that we are seeing this picture. Elon Musk posted another picture. He posted another picture in, I think, Kramatorsk in Ukraine. There was a particular building. The whole of the building, what you see all over it is USAID. Okay, let's say the picture was there by coincidence. Let's say, okay, the USAID was there for, they went to carry out some heroic humanitarian job. Let's say, right? Am I the one that came out with that evidence where a US congressman was saying that USAID fund was going to Boko Haram in Africa? Ladies and gentlemen, let's call a spade a spade. I can categorically tell you that I've not seen one person in my lifetime that benefited. I have not seen one person from a single aid that was sent to Nigeria. So it begs the question, who is working with who to oppress who? And this post from Elon Musk, they like to shadow ban and do all sorts of things. He made 17.3 million views and counting, 10,100 comments, 50,700 reposts, 270,000 likes for a neocon, families. For for an homogeneous neocon, right? So much love for speaking the truth, for having the cojones to speak the truth even if it's once. What Elon Musk is saying right there, Elon Musk did not really say so much. He did not say so much. He just posted a video and he circled the USAID and he showed the terrorists with one finger. And when terrorists do their one finger like this, that's what they're trying to tell you there is Allahu Akbar. And they don't represent what they say. You know what that means? He's trying to tell you that anywhere you find USAID, these are the guys that are going to accompany the logo. These guys. So, the question is, when they tell you that they are sending aids to you, is it to you or is it to those guys? How come in Mali, people that cannot buy They can't buy good clothes. Look at what happened in Burkina Faso. 400, ladies and gentlemen. 400 men came. 400 men did not return. Yeah, they said, when they came out with the story, I posted it on our Telegram channel. A Western OSINT personnel said that Burkina Faso neutralized the jihadists, that they neutralized over 200. Oh, I was like, these guys are so honest this time around. According to the information from the communique of the Burkinabe government, 400, ladies and gentlemen, most of them fell in the trenches. This was the most brutal decapitation assault I've ever seen. 400. They didn't escape. Not with bullet wounds. No. Now, a lot of people have been saying, not my words, not my words. Let me quote my brother. Official Survivor Media said that he said, and I quote, that after the French general made a statement at the European Parliament that an attack was coming, and they attacked Burkina Faso. And guess who was the bone of contention in the parliamentary house? It was Burkina Faso. When I showed you the video of the attack, I used an arrow, a cursor, to point at one device. That was the Starlink. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, can we all agree that the response from the International Criminal Court and the response from the Amnesty International is not reliable enough for a counter response from our esteemed leadership in the Sahel? Because if the proof is so much that I can start picking them out like this, I don't even live in the Sahel. If I can start picking out the facts like this, documented facts, what if they are now to stand toe-to-toe with the leaders of the Sahel? People who went through the war crime itself, people who went through the situation. Do you think any court will be able to stand? So, ladies and gentlemen, Burkina Faso continue to build. Mali continue to build. Niger continue to build. Matter of fact, it's not a competition. We are not competing with anybody. We might not have what you have. You might have skyscrapers. They might not have. You might have good roads. They might not have yet. But I can guarantee you, with what I'm seeing in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger, I can tell you something. They are developing in their pace. They are not borrowing funds. They are working at their own pace. Remember, the debt of France. I don't know if anybody can pay that debt. I don't know. I don't know if they don't have what it takes to pay that debt. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't have what it takes to pay the debt. The question is, how will France survive? What do they have as a bargaining chip? What does France have right now as a bargaining chip in exchange for the debt that even French economic analysts said that their children, let me quote, that they cannot even pay these debts. So that is why you hear that their diplomat, their parliamentarian continue to say, we need to return to the Sahel. Ladies and gentlemen, the proof is already in the pudding. The facts is out there. I will continue to inform the people. You see, The ban on this channel, the restriction on this channel ends tonight. Yeah, it ends tonight. What's the date of today? Yeah, on the 3rd of July, the restriction on the Android community ends today. And given the fact that the restriction ends today, I sat down and I asked myself, because I've been thinking, I know a lot of you have seen the new channel, the other channel, right? That will now be handled by another personnel who is really, really working hard and is going through some training. And I ask myself, why go through so much why allow myself get censored, beat down? Like, I post some videos and the reach is unbelievable. Coming from where Android used to come from. I'm good at this. I know this. I don't read scripts. I'm pouring this from me. So somebody asked me that why not stop talking about America? Why not mention the name of France? Why not mention, don't just step on any toes. It'd be like, just do you and make your money. There is a lot to talk about. It'd be like, just be like any other person. That's true. I can decide to talk about the development in Burkina Faso. I can decide to talk about any other thing. There are interesting things to talk about all over the world. But, I have decided, all right, thank you so much for the donation. I have decided that I can advise anyone else. Like, I'm now in the position to tell anyone now that if you want to do YouTube, respect the community guideline. Do right by YouTube policy. Don't mention certain names. Invest in your skill. Take your time to edit. Keep people engaged. Drop the hooks at the right point. And you will make a lot of money. But you see, for me, I don't know, but I don't know if I can save myself from myself. Yeah. I know they are not going to ban me again because I'm not going to, break the community guideline. But this particular fight, I'm a Nigerian. We have inherited this fight. You see, the worst type of people that can inherit a fight are Nigerians. I know my people majority of them might not be interested in this. They might be battling with the geopolitical situation in Nigeria. But, no, we have inherited this fight. And I see a lot of Nigerians in the comments. I see them. Our mom from Edo State. I see a lot of people from Lagos, from Benin, from Enugu. I see a lot of Nigerians in the comments. And I love you all. And to our people from the United States, UK, Canada, Jamaica, St. Kitts Nevis, Sierra Leone, Liberia, South Africa, Bantu from South Africa, I see you. Khadija, from all over the world, I see you all. But this is what we do on this platform. We've gone too far to give up. I don't know how long I will remain here, but I can promise you, for as long as the channel keep working, I don't even care about the money I make. We'll continue to do this. This is a new life entirely. Because I don't know that this is how bad things are for Africans. I know we are supposed, because at the point, please don't lose it. Because some people at a certain point, when you look at the situation happening in Europe, the heat wave, the economic debacle, the situation is diabolical. And I know that some of you might be like, oh, maybe we should reconsider. We should what? Because it crossed my mind for a second, right? It crossed my mind for a second. Like, man, this is crazy. The heat wave, the economy problem, all of that. Because for 1 second, I was beginning to see the real French identity. The depth, the heat wave, the struggles, the problem, the terrible situation of the pensioners, and the people that are about to enter that pensioner position. What they are saying. Some of them are saying that what they will be paid after serving the government will not be able to take care of them for a day. And that's what they were going to be paid in a month. I started like, what? So that means the heart and soul of France was Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And you live that type of life? And Emmanuel Macron came to Ouagadougou to abuse and humiliate the president like that? The theory of the host and parasite is that the parasite must never allow the host to die. Because if the host dies, ladies and gentlemen, everybody will have to step in to close the show. To be honest with you, I'm shocked at what I'm seeing in France right now. The humanity in me is saying, wow. For a second, I was having pity. And there is another side of me that I say, you cannot, even for a second, sympathize because of what people you don't know that lived before you got here, what they went through. I don't know what happened. I don't know what needs to happen. For me, the Alliance of Sahel, they should not look back. But on behalf of the French citizens, something needs to be done. Hey? Like, I can't imagine what is going on in France right now. They need an economic reform. Something needs to be done. The situation is terrible. We used to think, like, come on, man. If roles are to be reversed, no terrorism in Africa, which is imposed, all right? Roles are reversed. Do you know that Africa will be far better? Let everybody start spending gold now. What will happen? Let everybody start spending gold now. What happens? If it is not that some of our leaders, they have this thing upstairs that is not right, how will you forgo the real money for the fake money? Oh, by design, welcome. Yeah, that's the honest truth. If it is not that they have problem, why will you forgo the real money for the fake money? Our lands are getting digged, yet we don't have landslides. We don't have earthquakes. And I'm beginning to worry because the more I see this exploitation, I continue to ask myself, how long are we going to continue like this? God has protected us, blessed us so much. Sometimes I sit down and I ask myself, this paradise that people are talking about, hope it is not here in Africa. This paradise that they are talking about, hope it is not here in Africa. And not just because if you look at it, especially when you look at Nigeria, when you look at natural disaster, any Nigerian here cannot tell me that we have any natural disaster in this country. Talking about landslide, earthquake, all those things. And I'm asking myself, okay, tell me what natural disaster they have in the Sahel. None. You want to talk about flood? If the infrastructure The right infrastructure is in place. The right drainage system. Do you think they will have flood? Let's think again. So every predicament that we experience in Africa right now is a product, a direct product of many years of exploitative diplomacy with certain people that choose to call us. Everybody knows what that word that Donald Trump likes to use. I'm not going to say it because of community guideline. So, once again, I'm proud to be an African man. I'm proud to be me. I'm proud to represent the Android community. And I will be here to represent the Android community for a very long time. And I hope to see you all next year. This is 2026. I hope to see everyone in 2027. Because the way the pistons are shifting, because this journey started in 2022. 2023, we're here. 2024. This is 2025 and 2026. And we're going to 2027. And they said the 8 years is going to split. But instead of the splits, we continue to see new exchange every day. Development, economy, GDP, revenues. Like what's going on? No, what's going on? So families, let me drop the pen at this point. I really appreciate you. I really want to thank you for your support so far. I see you tomorrow. I don't know if we should be doing 2 sessions or just this session is okay. I don't know if we should do a session, maybe African time, maybe around 11 to 12 noon, and we should have another section around this time. Because there's so much information right now, that I've skipped a lot of information. Today, I skipped a lot of information. I didn't talk about the updates from Mali. And I think by tomorrow, there will be new updates because I can't have the opportunity to go back. There is so much information every day. So I don't know if we should be having 2 sessions. A short one in the afternoon just to brief everyone. And like the ones we normally have at night. I think this one is more, it's more proximal to the people in the West. I think the timing is okay. And I think people in Africa, the timing for afternoon. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try it and see if it works. The restriction is off. And long live the movement. Long live the freedom. Long live the war. We are at war. We are living through war. We are developing through war. We are waging the war. Because this is the true definition of peace through strength. France is failing. I am not happy that they are failing. But they are failing. I am not the one that brought the failure. And I repeat, I am not happy that they are failing. They need to find a solution. But that solution is not in coming back to the Sahel. So ladies and gentlemen, representing the Andre community, it's your boy 72 Andre signing out enough said before I go. Salute, man. And I want to thank everyone. By Design, Mr. Nelson, and there is a new person in the house. I can't remember the name, but you can notify me of your name in the comments. Yeah, we're happy to have everyone. So I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you, and God bless you. You didn't make this live stream very boring. You didn't make it, you made it worth it. And thanks for everyone that stayed. You gave me the energy to continue speaking. And every time you guys come in and you stay, this is, I can talk from now to tomorrow morning. Like you guys, you are the fuel, you are the energy, you are the food, you are the, like when I see you, I don't know, the cylinders don't just stop. So thank you and God bless you. Because if we continue like this, I might not go to bed. So I need to go right now. Thank you, family, and God bless you. Bye-bye.